It's been a little while, so we have a very, very full agenda. So we'll get started. I don't believe there's a need for executive session unless somebody from the board would like one at this point. Okay. We have minutes from the March 28th meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move it.
Second.
Thank you. Second, Kristen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Financial review. Hey, Maureen, there you are. Sorry
Good
about
morning.
that. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, good. Well,
Thank you. So these are your March financials, so Q1 is closed. As you know, we submitted all of our PAAA reporting on time, and thanks to everybody with getting the audit committee, everything finalized, so that went well and went smooth. But these are Q1 financials. We closed on 2 projects so far this year, so about $24,000 in closing fees. We still have listed 6 open projects. We're working on figuring out the Solitude Solar. It's just got to be closed, and either the $1,000 goes towards legal fees that were incurred, or we just keep it. But we're still working through that.
are we not hearing anything from them at all?
Well, I think that we thought that there were some legal fees, but Laura looked in her records and they didn't have anything indicating that they had spent any time on it, so we just gotta close that out. Park Grove LLC, the inducement was tabled, obviously it's closed, so we've gotta do the same thing with Bond, Shonik and King, and just, if there's any legal fees they incurred, we just gotta send them a check.
I know there's some there.
Yeah, there's gotta be, so we've gotta just close that out as well. Cash, we just continue to, roll over the CDs as they mature and keep earning some investment income on those. So as they come up for maturity, we take a look at what we've got going on, and so that's just kind of an ongoing project that I think has worked out very well. Pilots, we did receive Q1 Wolfspeed pilot. It was billed in February as per the pilot agreement. Collected, dispersed. So that's all taken care of. And then our July pilots, we've got a lot of them on, an annual schedule. Those will be billed in June. So Vina, that's more on the jurisdiction schedule. So we just make sure that those all get processed according to the pilot agreements. And that's about it.
Any questions for Maureen at this point? Okay, thank you, Maureen. Okay, agenda item number 4. Bear with me, I've never had to read a paragraph like this, so. Consider a preliminary inducement resolution relating to the Chobani LLC facility, granting preliminary approval for financial assistance in the form of exemptions from sales tax valued at $50,625,000 and reduction in real property tax valued at $385,747,722 that provides the company will make pilot payments during the construction period in an amount equal to taxes calculated using the current assessed value of the land, and after the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, annual fixed payments of $2 million for 40 years, including scheduled incremental increases with pilot payments to be allocated to the tax jurisdictions in accordance with an agreement allocating pilot payments, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing subject to a seeker determination. Okay.
Well done.
I think some of us were at the announcement last week. I would say that in my 17 years or so being a member of this board, I've never seen a project this magnitude and this important to our community. So I think it was an exciting announcement. The enthusiasm was great. It's nice to have a project like this with the size and scope and jobs, and which was very impressive to me, and I'm sure you saw it too, was the average salary for these jobs for Chobani, which is fantastic for our community. So with that, Shauna, would you like to add anything or at this point?
So, I think what I would add is that, we've spent a lot of time on this project, probably will end up spending a lot more. County has an aggressive schedule to meet the infrastructure needs as well as the company. It will create a lot of construction, going on around Griffiths. It will also drive, a few future, items that we'll bring to you from possible land transfer to, needs that arise from the company as we proceed. We are working very closely with the county as they perfect the seeker NEPA approvals of EAFs that we hope to see happen. Hi. So I'm just giving a little briefing, Tony. I got to the word seeker and NEPA, and do you have an idea? Sorry to put you on the spot.
You're up. Do you have an idea?
So I guess, because it's gonna drive that we might have a special meeting. At this meeting, we will not be adopting seeker as we normally do. The county's gonna be the lead agency. They do have a few things to complete on their end. I know Amanda Cortez is working diligently to get those in place.
We have a couple adjustments to make on seekers simply because the size of the sewer discharge is larger than, or needs to be larger than was originally planned in the first go round. So the timing is questionable right now. It's not, it's depending on what we get to you or if we get it to you in that time period.
So I think what we would do, Tony, is as soon as we know when the county board's going to look at it, we'll work around that date for our next meeting.
Yeah.
It might just align with our June meeting date, but we do want to be accommodating because we know how much work has to take place, as well as ordering equipment and purchases.
Right.
So, that's something.
Linda?
Yeah, we'll schedule the next hearing or the next meeting as soon as the seeker is addressed. And I also want to point out to the board a clarification. So we say in the agenda that it's annual fixed payments of $2 million for 40 years. If you look at the resolution itself, that's not quite accurate. It's fixed at $2 million for 10 years. Then it starts ramping up. The schedule is in the resolution itself. It starts ramping up in year 11. I just wanted to make that clarification.
1.5% every year
Right.
cumulative.
Right. But we have not outlined the distribution at this point.
The
We will do
allocation
that.
agreement needs to
The
be,
allocated, right.
yeah.
Which we're
So the
working
two
on.
things from the county are seeker and then working out with the taxing jurisdictions, the allocation.
And I think our resolution is broad enough because it doesn't specify the increments. It just says scheduled increments, so I think that should be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Actually, the resolution is fine. It sets forth the actual payments.
Okay.
So what we'll do, and we recognize we have to have the allocation for the public hearing.
We also have Kevin McAuliffe here, the attorney for Chobani. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say something?
Well, I'd be happy to answer any questions, site layout or anything, traffic control. Just one thing, I think the cost benefit analysis we submitted had the sales tax exemption at 51,625. And you're right up, at least in the announcement of the meeting, says 56,25. I apologize if I missed that on the formal resolution itself.
Which is the right number?
51,625, 51,625,000.
Okay.
Okay, we'll make that correction.
Okay.
And
I'd just like to add one thing that I think we haven't mentioned is the benefit to the dairy industry and the farms in the area, which I think is enormous. And over the past 10 or 15 years, we've seen farm sizes diminish. We've seen out-of-town people buying family-friendly farms for hunting and stuff like that. And I think this is going to re-energize that community and give them give them an opportunity to either expand or improve their equipment and provide the dairy products that are gonna be needed by this facility, because if it doesn't get the dairy products, it can't produce anything. So I'm hoping that we're gonna try to market the area as an opportunity for the farmers and the dairy people in the area, which hasn't really had a big push for a long time.
So I think I have to commend the county. I don't think it was in anticipation of this project, but forward thinking, initiated a dairy study, which Tim and Edge have helped work with the county. National Grid's helped support it.
I think it was called the Dairy Sustainability Study and Project, and we had no idea at the time that we would end up with the biggest sustainability project that we could outline for the dairy farmers. Yeah, nobody, and I know people at this table know and others know, I mean, we have, I always talk about agriculture, I talk about that day, number one, but we have over 200 dairy farms, I mean, of various sizes here, and some of the larger ones in the central New York area. But it goes beyond that, because obviously they're gonna need milk from a lot of different places, or a lot of, I always get lost on the pound, because they go by pounds, not by gallons, you know.
Isn't it
We always talk about gallons of milk.
180,000 pounds per
We always talk
year?
about gallons, they talk about pounds, which is the way they measure it. And, yeah, this is just so wide reaching, you know, to the amount, once they're at full capacity or full blown operation, I mean, you're gonna need a lot of milk. And then as it goes forward, even more so in growing that, so.
So we've started a little bit of a initiative in PowerPoint we'll share with the county because of that study. We've started identified parties who we need to bring to the table. We've had other counties approach us this past week at a Brownfield Summit who they've said, what can we do to help and assist? So every time we have a conversation, that list of partners just keeps just exploding. So I will continue to work closely with the county, ensure that, there's a growth opportunity for our dairy farmers as well. And, the one thing, pilots pilots might help. They don't need the sales tax farmers. They're exempt. But we also need to look to see, are there opportunities we can help that dairy industry grow? So that might be something we come back with. I think, I could just put it in the context of they're gonna produce 1 billion pounds of dairy product every year. And, just trying to get your arms around it is really challenging. So this will have a lot of trickle down effect from housing, need for daycare, other items that we have taken some attention to and will continue to do that. I do have just one slight clarification that I know we're going to make in the application going forward. It has to do with what is currently tagged as the current assessment, and I'll tell you what page we'll be making the modification for. It is on page 19. Currently, the county has an appraisal on the property. I believe it's for $25,000 an acre, so we would just want to adjust what is tagged as the current land assessment there and have that just reflected correctly.
Do we know what that number is or not yet?
17 million?
On one GIS parcel it's 16.5 and the other it's 17. That's thousands per acre.
Okay.
You have two different assessments, two different GIS parcels that intrude, if you will, into the triangle parcel. So they're close,
Okay.
but below the county's valuation.
The cities.
Cities, yes.
We'll make note of that and correct that going
And
forward.
just as, it will probably come up later or in the months ahead, and as we continue our discussions with Chobani on the site, we had purchased the golf course property, which we currently hold in title. But that has been something that, was anticipated that Chobani would utilize or would assume or purchase in terms of this, so just call it that'll be coming. That's not ready for prime time right now, but it will be very shortly. I mean, I would, assume within, by the end, certainly by the end of the year, if not, by the end of the summer. possibly. So
Great.
that's something else to keep, that we will be doing, and we will probably, I mean, they're gonna talk to you about the transfer to Edge and then, and then to Chobani at that point,
Definitely.
so.
No, you forget about things like traffic and things like that, you would just mention, but then at the announcement, a friend of mine who's, works at the DOT was there, and I said, what are you doing here? She goes, we've got a lot of traffic work to do over here, a lot of road work to do over here. I said, oh, I didn't think about that. Okay.
So I don't know if I put so my estimation is the county will be doing over $80 million of improvements between environmental, traffic, water, sewer, gas, electric. So, that is part of the reason why a pilot allocation agreement is necessary to ensure that those costs are covered. Empire State Development has been gracious.
Yeah, and we have already expended, I mean, there was, we made the second application for the second Fast New York. The first one we had received a couple years ago, or just shy of that. There's a match on both of those that the county will take care of. And then, so, but we've already expended, I think, just shy of $7 million on the work up there right now.
So I'll correct my number. I estimate you're gonna spend close to $90 million.
Probably.
Yeah, knowing what we went through at Griffiths, at Marcy, and I think, you can put this in comparison. This project is gonna cost as much, if not more, than building for Wolfspeed at the point of construction. And I imagine that we'll see the company come back to us 2 or 3 phases later. And, I have to note and commend the county. I was the observer to the handshake between Tony and Hamdi where, we sold the site. They first came in looking for 90 acres. By the time he left, he needed 400 acres. And I've been warned by people who've worked with the company that that's normal. So, Hamdi said to Tony, I think we met on Columbus Day, he goes,
Yeah.
well, by Friday, if you get me the golf course, we have a deal. And Tony had it by Wednesday. So, I think it's a great example of how the county works, in partnership with everything that has to be achieved.
He's here. I want to thank Kevin. Kevin's been a big, just advocate for this site, because obviously they were looking in other places, and having Kevin on board was a big positive that they did for us. I've worked with Kevin for longer than we both talk about. But,
I think an important point to that is, our competition was another northern state that borders Canada.
I'd say it was Michigan.
Michigan,
They say it.
and they put more cash grant on the table.
Well, they did, and that's why, in terms of the pilot, just, to where we are, even though it's a significant pilot, I think, and it reflects what this is, on this parcel first. The Michigan has a different kind of property tax structure that we had to combat against and move in a direction. And they also have personal property tax out there, which, is, we don't have, but they, so that's why with both of those, their formula on the property tax is much different, much lower because of the personal tax, which they were taking off the table, but so it made our, negotiations a little more tighter to get to that.
So I think, a good point to make is that, the benefit is close to 400,000 million, 400 million, sorry, in pilots. It's 400 million, I'm sorry, 400 million in
We're not used to these numbers, it's hard, we don't get these all the time.
Might have been Hannah. He used to say hundreds of thousands of millions.
It all works in
It all
this
works the
case.
same.
So I think, I'd like to commend the IDA and, it shows the importance of having the agency, and this is a tool to help support projects like this, because I think the negotiation of that pilot really helped move the project, over the finish line.
I think we also,
Thank us after we vote for it.
Okay.
I think we also ought to thank the people that surround Berlin. and the people that volunteered and came forward when Chobani first came. Because I think, I went to the meeting also, of that meeting, and I got the sense that the culture that came out of that relationship down there was transferred up here. So I think the fact that that was part of his talk, a big part of his talk, was beneficial to us. So they did the same thing we did, so I think that was good.
And also given what, you know, I don't wanna, I mean, the announcement itself and the amount of money they spent and but the effort and what they wanted to show to the community was really something special. I mean, we worked, with them in 3 weeks' time, put that all together, and I mean, they did. And they did it, I mean, and that just, went to the heart of what kind of company we're dealing with. So.
And that was gonna be my point exactly, their reputation and how they treat their employees. I was pleasantly, very happily surprised on the wages. Happy to see the wages, their livable wages, and how they treat their employees. Their reputation's phenomenal.
For anyone who doesn't know the depth of this company or really understand, there is a show called How I Built This on NPR that tells the Chobani story. It is an amazing listen and it's what, it references the start of the company from a dirty apartment floor in Utica, New York, and what Hamdi did to get the company. If you're ever in your car for an hour, it is amazing.
But he had a little, I worked with him, I had to be 23, 24 years ago when I was with ESD. He had a small little cheese.
And
That's right.
was it Johnstown?
Johnstown, which
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did that project. And
Oh my
it was
gosh.
Ladies' cheese. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, it tells that story. It starts with feta.
and
He
it
started
was
with
just a
feta,
small
right?
little-
Yeah.
It was just a small little, I'm trying to remember,
Euphrates.
Yeah.
Euphrates,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they only had, I don't think they had 30
Yeah, small
employees.
little
I mean, I don't even know if they had that many at that
Yeah.
time. And then that's when he tells the story of how he bought the plant in Midland.
Yeah.
And Mr. Buffo was his banker at the time and said, what the heck are we doing funding this, And now, you look at the touches back to our community and, we've always talked about, we've lost a lot of corporate presence over the years. And we're fortunate that, we have some of it and we're figuring out now how to even rebuild it with other companies coming in. And he's the ideal type of company to have that, have that here. And I think one of the things that stood out to me, and it's hard to factor into the cost benefit, is he likes to buy, borrow, do projects with local companies. So I think it's something that, it's gonna trickle down further than we put into that cost benefit. It'll be nice to do a cost study after the fact.
It
Nice
certainly
to
raised the
produce something
morale.
that we can eat.
It raised the morale of the whole community, I can tell you, I hear it every day.
Does anyone else have any questions on the project specifically? No? So we'll take a motion to induce, we'll change the value of the sales tax exemption to $51,625,000. And I think we should be okay with the rest of it. So can I have a motion to approve? Erica, thank you. Second, Franca. Any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Thank you, Tony. Phenomenal amount of work. And,
Yeah.
it was a very uplifting announcement for
See
sure.
our friends from the trades, I just wanted, with our bids are going out in the next week and the site work should be out by the end of next week or sooner. We wanna open those bids on June 3rd because we gotta get started.
Are you doing the roundabout or is the state?
The state's designed it, we're doing it. We're
Because that's gonna be needed pretty quickly.
plus the wall, the wall that goes up on the other side,
So
the road itself. So all of that.
So I referenced the need of a property transfer, and it's gonna be the involvement of the county, JLBC, IDA, and we have to just work through a few details, and that parcel will come back, and it's the parcel adjoining Robert Angela Cole's property and where the ball fields are, because taking into account as you're building all of this, you need some construction roads, and
Yeah.
so there'll be a timing issue there.
Just another announcement on the trades and employment. So Chobani is already looking at where it's gonna have a local office. We don't anticipate just working out of trailers. I think they're gonna have a complete office, which will be a multi-point center where trades can contact the construction people. We'll have complete information on employment, training, and opportunities. We're working with the state and with Tony to fund complete training opportunities through your local educational institutions. And we're down to final straws with 2 GCs. So I would say within the next 2 weeks, we'll have one selected. I don't know that we'll have the contracts done that fast, but all that stuff's moving along well. And the goal is to start this summer. I have people yelling at me all the time, July. That's when I take my hearing aids out and put them back in the charger. But we have a lot of stuff to go through in terms of seeker and other things. But Chobani will be here very, very soon. I probably have a lease to look at by Tuesday.
Yeah, I know Sean and I have talked, and obviously we have talked to the company, we have offered space, here at Griffiths, for them, because we didn't want, trailers are for the construction site, et cetera, but, in terms of anything else, in terms of recruitment, but also other pieces, we want to make sure they have, appropriate office space on site right up here. We're working with them on some of those things. And I've already talked to them about, the trade work and everything else, and so as Kevin said, but I think that's, if you hear that, let people know. Remember, they built the Idaho plant in 326 days.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So tell me, what was the first day that got counted? Do we know that?
I think it was the day they went, I think it was the day they went into the ground.
Okay.
I literally think that, I think it was, obviously barring approvals, they literally, because they had, when they put the real first shovel in the ground, not the.
I told them,
Yeah.
I already told them we'll do it in 390 days.
Yeah, 300, because, in fact, on the Idaho announcement that they did recently with an expansion that they're doing in Idaho, it's interesting to note that even in addition to this, they announced a month before that they were building they're adding a $500 million addition in Idaho. At the same time, this plan is in progress. And the governor had a medallion around his neck that had 326 on it. And I asked them, what's the 326? And it was because they built in 326 days. Because they do want to be operational. I'm sure you said this, and I'll get out of your way, and you got other stuff. They want to be operational in the fourth quarter of 26. Operational,
Wow, that'll be here soon. Great, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
Sorry, I
great
have to take
weekend.
my drawing, because Tuesday night we gotta be in front of the planning board.
Yeah.
I think they might wanna see
I think
what's
so.
on the drawings.
I think so.
If you need reinforcements, let us know.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.
I'll be right back.
Okay, great.
No, you can start.
Agenda item number 5, consider a request from 126 Business Park LLC for the agency to consent to the sale of its facility and assignment of existing leaseback documents to 126 Business Park Holdings LLC. This is a sale that's being contemplated, correct, between the two, so because of our involvement, we need to consent to the sale. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Tim, thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item
So
number
that sale goes, the pilot goes with the sale as part of that resolution. The pilot is currently on that property.
It would transfer to the office.
to the new owner.
To the new one.
Consider a seeker resolution relating to the 126 Business Park Holdings LLC facility. The agency is serving as lead agency and has determined the project to be an unlisted action. We're the seeker. We're doing the seeker.
Yeah, since they're proposing just internal modifications, it didn't meet the level that the city would be the lead agency on a seeker review, so that's why Linda and her team were lead agency.
Okay, got it. Okay, motion to approve.
A motion.
Thank you, Frank. A second.
Second.
Kristen, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, item number 7, consider an inducement resolution relating to the 126 Business Park Holdings LLC facility, granting preliminary approval for financial assistance in the form of exemptions from sales tax valued at $13,125, exemptions from mortgage recording tax valued at $34,125, and reduction in real property tax valued at $635,387 for a period of 10 years, which financial assistance is consistent with the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, adopting a finding that the project is reasonably necessary to discourage project occupants from relocating outside of New York State, or preserving the competitive position in their industry, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing. So we have a pilot on there now. We're in the 5th year of the pilot. And so this would be canceling that policy and redoing a new pilot.
Yeah, so as proposed, it would, the benefit for this current year would stay in place, and then starting 2026 would be essentially year 1 on a new pilot. That would last 10 years.
And this location, I mean, we've had many, we've done a lot of action on this location over the years, I believe, right?
Yep.
So when we had the ability, the IDA did a bond to help build the first structure there. And I think that was about
1994.
Wow.
Time flies, huh?
I was young then.
Yes.
1994.
We always.
Oh, my God.
Remember anything about it.
Were you gonna say something
Why
else?
are we really doing this? I mean, the building's there, I mean, I read the letters of support that they might move somewhere else, but why are we giving basically another 5 years on this pilot? I mean, they got 5 more years of the pilot. We've just granted that to happen. I just, I have, this could open Pandora's box on a lot of other projects that when somebody already has a pilot, they sell off or flip the property, and then new people come in and get another pilot for really no change. That's my thinking on it. I don't know how you feel.
I think your change, Dave, is tied to the increase in jobs and securing the presence of these companies in this location. And I mean, that's why we did request the letters.
Right.
I think one of the things is, as you do drive through the Utica Business Park, there is, there's vacancies. We're seeing that here as well. I think we're looking for some acknowledgement that we're appreciative of somebody taking on the project and being sure that we keep as many buildings filled as possible.
Well, I think to Dave's point, though, we did that.
They got 5 years already.
There's 5 years left, so I mean,
I
I tend to agree with Dave on that. I mean, we did the pilot. It's been working. It's been 5 years. They've had assistance in the past as well. So to me, I feel like we've done the work that we should do on it. So I tend to agree.
So I guess my understanding your thought process, I would at least look to be sure that we can extend the current pilot to accommodate what's currently in place.
We just did it. I thought we did when we approved the transfer of the property with the pilot. I mean, I'm assuming, Linda, you don't have any
Yes.
problem with that?
No, we did, that's what the number 5 resolution did. was the
No, but-
transfer.
Yeah, the
transfer-
one we transferred. So that
When
automatically
we transfer the
transferred-
existing.
Okay.
So
that
when we
pilot-
transfer the existing lease back documents, that would include the pilot.
So they're gonna get 5 more years of the current pilot. And we're looking out 5 years after that for an extension of 5 more years on that. I don't know, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but you can see, that there's not really a big change. There's a promise of some additional jobs that, might justify it, but a lot of companies would be glad to move into a building and tell us we're gonna have 10 more jobs and then ask for a 10-year pilot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from, and I tend to agree with you on that.
So this would give them 15 years? It would give them 10, the 5 that we transferred plus 10?
No,
It's
No.
It would it would give them 10
I
total.
mean, that location, in some respects, you could make the argument would get 15, because they've already had
Had it,
5.
but-
But no,
right.
this would be
You'll
now
cancel
canceling that,
Okay, alright.
pilot, would remain for this year, and then start, 10 after that, going forward.
It might be inappropriate for me because I'm not on the board, but I've closed on that building 2 or 3 times. And it's a difficult building. I think that should be taken into, and it's because of the setup. You've got basically, one side of it is completely separated from the other side of it. And you might want to take that into consideration because it's a tough building to rent and it's a tough building to fill up. It's been medical offices. I think it was originally Adjusters International. It has been a combination of nurse practitioners and doctors, just doctors. It was Randy Saag's building for a while where he had his offices. And for a long time, the other half was vacant. It's a difficult building.
But they have at least.
They have at least, yes, but they might need some help in at least because of the nature of the building.
Have we seen the financials on the project? I mean, what the rents are and what, things like that? I mean,
I don't recall seeing what the proposed lease rate would be. And if that has been provided, I apologize for not committing
But
that to
nothing
memory.
changes for the first 5 years. So whatever they've built into their financials, the first 5 years doesn't change no matter what. So we're looking at what happens 5 years after that. I mean, the building's gonna be occupied, it's gonna be filled, and if they don't, comply with the original pilot agreement, there's clawback. I mean, I think personally we're giving away too much from the local taxi people. That's my opinion.
I think,
no, I
Shauna, can I say a couple things? This is Joe Gem with 126 Business Park Holdings LLC. We do not have signed leases for this. These prospective leases are contingent upon the pilot benefits. As the building sits today, we will not purchase the building because it is mostly vacant. So this transaction is a pass-through for the benefit of taxes to the prospective tenants.
But the tax benefit's already there for 5 years.
Correct. And after 5 years, the taxes on that property go to $5 a square foot, which is completely not market rate. So for the financial feasibility for a lease, the future tenants would need to have that benefit to make the lease work. So we have not signed anything.
so,
At the end of 5 years, we could extend the pilot if there's issues that came up after 5 years. I just think, my personal feeling is that 5 years of benefits currently not gonna change, it's gonna change. It would change by pushing out another 5 years, and then that's a marketing issue 5 years from now, as I see it. But that's my opinion. there's a lot of empty commercial spaces around too, so, you know, you're gonna potentially provide an opportunity for others to come in and ask for similar benefits when some tenants come in. If we're ready to do that, that's another issue, but.
Well, I don't think that's before us. Tim?
So Joe, so you're currently, you have 5 years, you need 5 years more. I'm guessing what your answer is gonna be, but I'll ask it anyway. So in order to be able to retain tenants, you're saying that you're gonna need this extra 5 in regards to it to make it happen, or?
So we've negotiated a 10-year lease. So the idea would be to coincide the benefits with the lease.
And we've not been privy to that, correct? That information? We have not seen the terms of the lease.
leases,
Of the
no.
leases, no.
The amounts and things like that?
No.
Okay.
So, can I give some more background?
Sure, Steve,
Yeah.
your interest in this?
Yeah, I'm a partner in the existing ownership and a partner in the new ownership. I'm rolling over my equity to make the deal happen. So, you know, many of you guys may know is I was the president and chief financial officer at Rising Phoenix, right? Which is now Tidal Basin. We sold the company last August 2023, excuse me. And, you know, one of the concerns obviously is that they signed a 4-year lease at the time. And look, this isn't your issue, but, you know, ultimately, you know, when we sold it, one of the big negotiations and one of the things we had to take a discount on the price for was because the building lease, they felt it was way beyond, you know, what would be considered palatable. They're willing to, as a result of, you know, this inducement, to sign another 7-year lease and take over what's now empty space. As well, they're going to completely refurnish. So they're going to be putting a decent investment of their own money in, completely refurnish. We're adding bathrooms, we're adding offices. We're doing a bunch of work in the building to get them to stay. You know, I was with AI Rising Phoenix since 1999. It's always been a great company, always had good employment, great paying jobs. I fear if they don't stay, you know, if we can't negotiate a lease, they're going to just move to Virginia where the rest of their operation is. I mean, they put their headquarters staff, they have kept all the financial staff in this location. Primarily, it was a result of me being local. When I left, it kind of went up in the air, but I still have a lot of relationships there, obviously being a partner at the selling. And, you know, I was able to have conversations with them and say, look, you know, you've got all these trained people, et cetera. I think they're just as willing, if they don't get a lease here, they're not going to move to another place. They're just going to move their leadership people to Virginia. And as people leave, those jobs will be gone. So the problem is, at the end of the day, you know, the taxes on this building are crazy. They always have been. Ron Caccaro was always one to say, look, you know, we don't want to, you know, tip the cart. We don't want to create those kind of issues. But at the end of the day, we always knew the taxes were out of control. We spent under me, we spent $1 million on building 1 in 1994. Building 2, which is the connected building, right, the one in the center, we spent over $3 million. Building 3, we spent over $6 million. Okay, so think about that. So we have $10 million into the building. The building's not, we're buying it for $4 million. So think about the loss that the old partners are taking, the hits that are being taken on this thing to make sure that we can have a good tenant, you know, 60, 70 jobs stay. Alternatively, if they don't sign a lease, you know, they're going to start transitioning. I'm just giving you the inside story. It's going to be what it's going to be. I really hope that it stays because I have a lot of coworkers that I worked with for a long time and friends that, you know, probably, you know, that's really the backstory on it. If you've got, you know, specific questions clearly about the building, I'm the number 2 person that could answer. Ron's not on the phone. But ultimately, you know, we want to stay involved. It's meaningful to Ron and I. Ron's staying involved as a partner as well. That, you know, that this company that we created from 10 people to 1,000, you know, continues to have a corporate presence here. So that's why we're rolling our money in. Honestly, it's not for any other reason. So thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you for the background, Steve. Appreciate it. Joe, you too. You know, I guess, you know, we have not been privy to the financial information given on, you know, the leases versus that, and we're looking at giving another, you know, approximately close to $700,000 benefit over a period of 10 years. And in addition to what we've already provided as an IDA the 5 years previous. So I guess I would feel a little bit better if we were able to see that information. Because we're making a judgment and, you know, based on what's in front of us right now, we don't have that. So is that possible to get?
Yeah, I'm happy to share the lease in draft format.
Okay.
So we can
Chairman.
revisit this at the end of the month meeting?
Linda?
Yeah, do you want to table it until the next meeting so the
Yep.
board has a chance to review the financials?
That would be great.
I think that's important for us right now, because I think where it's going right now is probably not in the direction that, you know, they would like, and I think that would help us make a better decision, I think.
Okay, so.
Or more informed decision. I don't want to say better, more informed decision. So.
Okay, so the company is willing to share that financial information and your projections and any other information that you could provide the board that shows that the tenant is likely to go to Virginia would be helpful as well.
So I would move we would table this till the next meeting.
I'll second.
And that information, Joe, that you provide us would remain confidential within the board, would not be part of our public packet, just so you're aware.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to table, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you both for being here, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, item, where are we? 8?
Yes.
Okay. Consider a request from Griffiths Local Development Corporation, Building 796, 798 facility, granting preliminary approval for financial assistance valued at $257,759 in the form of extending the existing pilot agreement for an additional 10 years with pilot payments to continue at the current level, 75% of taxes, relating to for-profit tenants, and a full exemption to continue relating to not-for-profit tenants, including GLDC, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing. Background.
So the background,
Tim?
Yeah, so these.
sorry.
Yeah, the
I'll put Tim on the spot.
So, you're talking about, you know, old Air Force buildings that have been under pilot since the transfer of property, and really a continuation of the existing situation. So if a building is occupied, then it's going to pay 75% of taxes that would be due. If they're not occupied, then that burden would otherwise fall on GLDC. So it'd be not paying any taxes. What am I missing? It's a continuation.
If you don't mind, let me help him here.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, GLDC was created, to do these types of things, so go ahead.
And so for the board members, GLDC and IDA have worked concurrently. There's an agreement blown up as a poster on the wall out in the hallway. All the signatures are faded, so I don't know how legal it is anymore. But the IDA, GLDC, Air Force were all signatories, because the GLDC has been, the IDA has been partner as we develop this park. I don't think it's surprising to anyone, the challenge faced by the contractors to the Air Force Research Lab. We're seeing it on a lot of fronts here at Griffiths of the, the hesitancy of what's happening with the Air Force and the unknown. So BAE is currently in there. They've looked to, they have a clause to renew in the newer section where the glass wall is, that we call 798. Kelberman was in 796. They moved out this week, yesterday. It was used for therapeutic purposes for childcare. The one thing we're seeing is the GLDC is looking to work to renew BAE. They're trying to see if they get a new contract. So they're looking to push their renewal out a few months. The other thing is, as Kelberman exited, we are looking to work with another childcare provider to take that space that was formerly known as the Griffiths Institute. It was built to really be educational and not-for-profit. And, my goal is as much daycare as we can help support bring on. And that's, that will not be a tax generator at all. If anything, I think Maureen and I have been trying to work to say, how low can you go on, what has to be charged on that space. So it continues to be something that I feel the IDA has always, been a very good supporter of, trying to keep that one industry sector here in a challenging time. I think the Air Force is always afraid of what the next shoe is to drop, and it's changing every day. I mean, you saw the announcement yesterday of DFAS, and I dread the thought of we have to take on a whole other non-BRAC, whatever you want to call it, Doge battle, but it could be coming.
Right. And that, Shauna, for the board's consideration, the reasons that Shauna just stated are some of the reasons for the deviation. So I just want to point that out to the board.
So is the space that Kellerman was in, is that really renovated for childcare purposes?
It would need to be fully renovated.
It's not been yet.
So, just thinking off the top of my head, is this, childcare is really important for expansion of the base. It's gonna be even more important with Giovanni here. Is there a way we've set aside $400,000.
I had the exact same question for Shauna the other day.
So
All right, so she's got the answer.
So there's money, there's already grants to renovate it, maybe not enough.
Yeah.
But I think where the assistance can come, because Steve really peppered me with this childcare thing, is I think it's just assisting GLDC to keep the rate. The problem isn't construction or renovation or building for childcare. The state has like 300 million. It's the operation. And that's what's, it's how can you keep the rates low enough for them to pay rent, but also pay a living
Well,
wage
that's why
to
I'm
these
saying,
providers?
can we use some of our money to support EDGE or GLDC in the renovation project to get it ready for childcare?
I think rather than, I think there's enough renovation money because the entity we're dealing with is coming with money.
Put it in
I
the
think we
minutes.
have to figure out another creative way to do this.
Yeah,
But
we've got to
that-
really
that
do
kind of
something
almost
about
relates, if there's a possibility to the operation or the startup of something that could provide daycare. I don't know how we do
Really
that or the
expensive.
answers, but it's,
I think one of the ways is to help GLDC keep their cost on the building as low as possible. And I think the way to do it is to keep the pilot at the 75%.
Okay.
So I mean, it doesn't, I'm trying to think of ways that you don't have to spend money on this one in particular, because trust me, there'll be other things that, we're gonna come up with concepts of how do you help dairy farmers, how do you help other childcare.
I'm just saying to you, I think that with all we're talking about, childcare, for some of us, it's beyond the age of childcare, but it's for the younger people that are coming here, it's probably at the top of their list.
It's
Yeah,
the number one
absolutely.
concern that keeps people from working.
So I think we've done our job marketing the place, we're gonna get employees here, we're gonna do all that. Now we gotta concentrate on two things, childcare and housing. And those two things are
And dairy.
crucial to attracting people.
The county has a lot of childcare initiatives, or I would think they would be tapping it. The Chobani's about to bring 1,000 people here, that are going to be working at or near.
They need childcare.
Yeah, they do, and it's gotta be really innovative childcare. I don't know how many shifts, I didn't read
Yeah,
Chobani
well,
plans
so I
on
think
running
that's,
there, but.
and I think Chobani will be a very good partner with this,
I agree,
this,
but-
this entity.
So I'm glad Steve asked you the question.
So hold on, wait, where'd my thought go?
Okay.
Again,
Well-
you know, I guess my question is, you know, this problem is not unique to Oneida County. And, you know, you think about places that are going through huge growth spurts like Nashville and whatever it is and stuff like that, or whatever it is. And you know, is there best practice? Is there something we're missing? Because that's not our shtick. To say, okay, this is what they're doing in regards to whatever it is, and maybe it's more than just living wage minimums. I don't know what it is, but somehow to find that unicorn.
So I think I got a couple answers to that. First, the county does have some initiatives. So when the county executive was here with James in December, they shared with us that program where they're helping people start home daycares and get certified. I think when he was here, he talked about 40 slots. As of February, he was up to 68 already, and it's just growing.
Yep.
And, you know, the nice thing is people are still gonna do childcare in their house, but now you're getting them certified because you're paying for that first dollar in. I know Tim's working with another childcare company that would be located here in a different location. I think just supporting the initiative of let GLDC still keep that building, that half of that building for a non-for-profit, not go renovate it for offices and stuff. I think the other thing I want to look at is carving out for every pilot we do, or increasing our fee of, you know, maybe it's 0.04% or something that goes into a childcare pool. I'm not quite sure how we could do it, but I mean, you talk about being unique. I sit here, we had this conversation during the winter. I don't understand why the state hasn't put a clause in every pilot across New York State to say, here's our number one issue, childcare. Why aren't we dedicating money to it? I think there's a way we could do that to be a little different. And, you know, like I said to Dave, the issue, and I said to Steve, the issue isn't construction. The issue is how do you pay these people in childcare more money that they want to stay in it? I mean, we went ahead and gave volunteer firefighters the ability to have tax relief.
Right.
You know, do it for people who are working in childcare. You know, the other initiative is work with people who are retiring early to go help, you know, a child, you know, take care of a grandchild. I think there's, you know, is there some incentive associated with something like that? And, you know,
My son is gonna be 1 in 2 weeks. I've been on a wait list since I was 4 months pregnant. I have no solution.
Wow.
Wow. No, it's brutal. And if,
None.
and if
I
you can't,
re-
you can't, most people can't afford it because it's
Right.
so expensive.
You're in the know.
Yeah.
What about new people?
I rely
that are
on my
moving
mother,
here?
my mother-in-law, and my husband on Friday. Thank God his employer works with him on that. I'm at the mercy of my mother and my mother-in-law.
That's not a good
This is a recorded meeting. I am at the mercy of them. Okay, they watch.
In the event they watch it, you mean the
I
kindness
do.
of them.
I'm at the mercy, Chris.
It's
It's not playing.
It's the same thing with preschool. Preschool, I'm a year and a half out, I had to get on the list.
Right.
For preschool in New Hartford. A year and a half, and I was number 11 on the list, and they only take 16.
Wow.
I mean, this
thank
is
God
not-
my kids are older now.
No, it's bad. As
It's
somebody
horrible.
who, like, we struggle with this with our employees. I mean, they don't have options. They don't, it's a lot of reasons why you can't get people to go back into the workforce. They're making decisions that they have to make because they don't have any alternatives, and it's.
Of course, during COVID, people were home with their kids, so
I don't know
the
how
issue
people
was
do
just
that.
kicked down the road.
I couldn't stay home with the teenagers.
Yeah, I mean.
So, you know, I think this is why GLDC has been saying, what can we do with buildings that we normally would not, you
What's
know?
Edge doing?
Well, I think, look, I don't wanna,
We're
we gotta
spending a lot of
move on
time.
here a little bit, but I wanna just, so you know where we're
Yeah.
where
No,
we're
I got
coming
it,
from,
so I-
and we have the ability to do it,
Yes.
so let's try to do it, so. Okay, so do we have a motion to
No.
approve? Not yet, okay, so we need a motion to approve item number 8.
Move it.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Dave? Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
How many daycare slots you want me to create?
250.
Okay,
At
thank you.
least. Consider item number 9, actually, I'm gonna jump down to item number 13 because our friends from Bonaccio have been patiently waiting for us, so thank you for doing that. Consider a request from Hanger Road LLC to consent to the change of control of an existing tenant, consenting the assignment of the existing sublease agreement and authorizing the form and execution of related documents subject to council approval.
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Tim? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Did you want to add anything?
Thanks all.
No, thank you.
A quick congratulations to Rome and Giovanni. Really exciting announcement. To Shauna's point, just so you guys know, they reached out to us immediately. Obviously, we're the largest housing provider in Griffiths, and it was almost an immediate reach out. So great that they did that, and great that we're having conversations already.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah,
Great.
that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all you've done for Rome too. Appreciate it.
So they're also representing B240 LLC.
Oh, they are? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I didn't realize. I missed that. Sorry. Item number 12, we'll go backwards there a little bit. Thank you for your patience. Consider a request from B240 LLC to convert commercial space to residential space, building 2A. Approving an amendment to the recapture agreement to eliminate the employment obligation and mixed-use scoring requirement to extend the previously authorized sales tax exemption to the conversion project through April 30th, 2025, and authorize the form and execution of related documents subject to council approval. I know that this has come, we've had this conversation before with their issue to rent commercial space at that location, and also to get rid of the employment numbers that they were obligated to in the scoring requirement. So I think we're glad that you're able to fill up the building residential anyways, and so thanks for bringing that to us. Any other questions or comments on this? Have a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you, Kristen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The longer the meeting goes, the less I get for open agenda. Consider a request, item number 9, consider a request from Griffiths Local Development Corporation, Building 240 facility granting preliminary approval for financial assistance valued at 0 in the form of extending the existing pilot agreement for additional 10 years with pilot payments to continue at the current full exemption, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing.
So just a, you wanna go ahead?
No, go ahead.
So it's a vacant parcel of land next to where B240 is, Air City Lofts. The intent is hopefully for the people at at Air City Lofts to purchase this and build another residential structure.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
You can only, I mean, it's, the challenge you have in Rome is Rome has not had a lot of new construction of housing.
No, Oneida County hasn't had a.
Yep.
So.
In general.
Yeah, so we're seeing some of it, and so, we're very fortunate of it, finally. And we're gonna come back with some unique ideas to help more housing here. We're gonna be on
Can't
the
wait.
cutting edge of the state of New York IDAs.
Can't wait.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
We've been there before.
Yeah, we have.
All right, can we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Franca. Second,
Second.
Kristen. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Just on a side note I'll make on that, this is like a parcel of land we normally can go file a 420 on, where it just becomes exempt. It is in the IDA's name for the purpose of the whole Griffiths redevelopment, but we also just want to be cautious what happens in the city of Rome with the assessor.
How about these? Item number 10, consider a request from Rome Community Brownfield Restoration Corporation, the International Wire Facility, granting preliminary approval for financial assistance in the form of extending the existing pilot agreements for an additional 5 years with pilot payments to be converted to fixed payments equal to the current pilot payments plus an annual escalator if the facility is occupied by a for-profit tenant valued at $20,201, and to be fully exempt if the facility is vacant and occupied by the company. Maximum value estimated at $249,425, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing. What do you got on this one?
So this one is, IDA took this property about 25 years ago out of bankruptcy. Kept Al Wire there for that number of years. Al Wire had decided to move out as of Wednesday. Well, they came back and renewed at least until the end of 2025. The Williamstown facility collapsed with snow, so they are using this to put every piece of equipment they can. In addition, Rome Community Brownfields has been working with DEC over the 25 years to clean up this site. What was discovered, I want to say about 3-4 months ago, is another environmental plume. The good news is 25 years ago, this piece of property entered DEC's environmental restoration program, which I like to call the golden ticket of environmental issues. So anytime there's a problem, you know, you call DEC, they come in, they fund the cleanup. So they're back again, probably another 2 years of probably another year of cleanup. But then DEC has to go through a process of saying, how do we give an environmental easement to let it go so it can go into a sale situation? Always having the golden ticket in the background. This one, you know, once again, just DEC still needs to keep it in their name while Rome Community Brownfields continues cleanup. In addition, this building was hit by the tornado back in July. The staff at GLDC, the facility maintenance staff, has been working with the insurance company trying to get, you know, a claim settled to fix the roof. And we thought it was done this week. It's not. So we're looking to continue to keep this building in the IDA's name. Hopefully we can get it into some private ownership at some point and let Rome Community Brownfields close their door. And
What's the holdup with the roof?
it's through adjusters now. So the Rome Community Brownfields hired an adjuster because it is such a massive building, 180,000 square feet.
Okay.
And of course, the insurance company just wanted to throw a number and send a check, and it was discovered that there was a lot more damage than the insurance company was recognizing.
Was Al Wire using the whole building?
Yes.
'Cause originally they weren't using the whole building.
They have the whole building. What's happening is they're starting to use it for storage. So my hope is we can do a deal with them that they will use it and keep it.
Good.
But, you know, the building needs improvements.
Right, it sure does.
But what's also interesting, unfortunately, that Williamstown facility collapsed, but they were leaving.
They were leaving this
They were
building.
leaving, and RCBRC was left with a lot of insurance and no tenant. Now they're staying, so.
I hope we can get them to stay longer.
Yeah.
All right, can we have a motion to approve? Move it. Kevin, thank you. Again, second, Erica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item number 11, and I believe our last item. Consider a request from Rome Community Brownfield Restoration Corporation, Complex 4 facility, granting preliminary approval for financial assistance valued at $72,821 in the form of extending the existing pilot agreement for an additional 5 years, during which time the property will remain fully exempt from taxes, which financial assistance is a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and authorizing the agency to conduct a public hearing.
Same environmental issue here where DEC's going to continue to clean things that they find and discover.
Well, the golden ticket that Shauna talks about involves housing in the area, because apparently when Rome Cable was there was leakage from hazardous waste underground that invaded the basement areas of a number of houses in the area. And so the Golden Ticket took care of that, and they had to deal with the housing people and clean up those, and that was a big, long project. And so apparently this piece is west of, what street is that?
Henry.
Henry. And it's a big piece, and it had a building. The building is still sitting there with broken windows?
No, that's down.
Okay. So that also had environmental on a way back building that they used for discharge of annealing waste and stuff like that from Rome Cable. And over the years, there's been developers that want, it's a 40 acre, it's a large piece of land and accessible by roads. And so there's been developers that have come and looked at it, and it was close to having a Target distribution center. But that fell apart when DEC had found the environmental issues and couldn't clean them up quick enough. So it's a problem piece of land. We own it, we have title to it, and we lease it to our BCRC, and so it's a problem piece of land that needs to be cleaned up and developed. It's a really nice piece of land if it gets developed. So, yeah, this should be clearly done.
So the latest DEC cleanups, they started with 2.6 million, of which there had to be a 10% match, and Rome Community Brownfields is trying to figure out that coverage. And then this new cleanup is 1.9 million. And it could just keep going.
Shauna, is the new cleanup on this land or on the previous one?
It is both. There's both cleanup on both. They reported.
Because they filed an environmental easement for this parcel in 2024. It's kind of the first step in saying that it's complete and start the process to deed it out of the IDA.
Yeah, so they're just, why it's being included is because the whole plume issue.
Okay.
So they're just gonna keep they're going in and researching it to be sure.
Okay, but this one is clean compared to the first one, and I expect this one to be deeded out.
We hope it'll be deeded out through that environmental easement.
Right.
But once again, dealing with DEC, that takes.
Not under our control.
Okay.
No.
So the drainage here goes to the canal and it goes to Wood Creek. There's a big storm sewer
that goes straight through the
right
site.
through the middle of it, heading out to Wood Creek. It's a brick stone. You can actually walk through it, and so it's all broken and stuff, but it's still there. So if you get drainage into that, it heads out to Wood Creek. Some of it's underground that heads out to the canal. So it's a mess cleanup problem. So I'm glad we got the gold ticket.
So am I.
All right, can we have a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Second.
Second, Kristen. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we have anything else to come before the meeting?
I think we have a correction. Tim just pointed out.
What's that?
On number 12, it should be April 30, 26.
I thought so.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Correction noted.
In the minutes.
No, that's all I have. Just the only thing is from our next meeting date, we might come back and modify that, but we would contact all the members.
Just give us enough ahead of time
Yeah.
if we can, because it's tough for people
I-
to change on a dime.
I think just one update I would give, and it's a little more LDC than IDA. I did authorize about $4,800 to update the LDC website for compliance. It's within our procurement, just so that the members know. I heard a lot of screaming and yelling from Mark Coucher as he was trying to upload everything for the PAAA. So we wanted to be sure to get that fixed. It kept crashing.
Okay. Anything else to come before the board? Motion to adjourn? Move it. Thank you. Second? Second. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good meeting.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Good day.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Linda.
Yep,
Thanks, Linda.
you're welcome.
Great job, Jack, today.